Hey guys, good afternoon. Chad Prather Show. This episode of the Chad Prather Show brought to you by Birch Gold Allied Oilfield and Backyard Butchers. What's up, guys? Happy afternoon. Cinco de Mayo. I got my jug. It's not urine. It's not urine. If you watch Dear America, it's still the same level. This has been like in my refrigerator for like 6 months. I think you could probably, scrub toilets with this stuff at this point in time. Anyway, Cinco de Mayo, happy whatever. Go eat a taco. Have a good time. Appropriate some culture. Whatever. We're going to talk about the CIA's master plan. That's what's on the thumbnail. Is it their master plan? I don't know, but I like to be a little extreme sometimes and talk to you. We're going to get into it, talking about Operation Mockingbird and how the CIA has controlled America's news media. It's going to get interesting. Hope you guys are looking forward to a fantastic week. I am. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but buying property is a pain in the ass. It is a pain in the ass. But I'm dealing with it, okay? A little investment property, buying it, da-da-da-da-da. Party Foul Steve as well. He's better. He's back. He'll be on the show today here in just a little while. And I want to see you guys blow up the chat. I'm curious to know if Rumble, I don't know if this is the best time of day to do this live show. I don't know. Maybe Rumble will give us another time. Because I think we're up against like Charlie Kirk and maybe Russell Brand right now. I don't know. You guys know more about this stuff than I do. I just like to talk for a living. And I'm talking more than any man should these days by doing the Dear America program, as well as this in the afternoon. We do have some cool announcements coming up for the Dear America program. And let me say, before I get to Birch Gold, that this weekend, party weekend, me and Party Foul Steve, we're headed out of town. Jesse Payton's going with. He's driving, we're flying. Pray for all of us. Raleigh, North Carolina, Thursday night. And then we are in Marion, Virginia. I don't think I've ever been to Marion, Virginia. But I like Virginia. Virginia's a beautiful state. We're going to be there Friday night. And then prior to Mother's Day, Sunday, you listen, guys, Sunday is Mother's Day. Don't forget it. We're going to be in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, Saturday night. 2 shows. A little small place. It's going to be good times. When Graham comes back, are you not staying on there? I don't know if we'll let Graham ever come back. We may not. Who knows? Don't know what's going to happen. Don't know. TikTok. We actually do know what's going to happen, but we do love building the suspense, don't we? Anyway, you can go to watchchad.com for all the fun stuff is. I got something in my mouth. There it is. I'll wash it down with some Make Wellness. Let's get hydrated here. Hang on one second. We had Philip on the show this morning from Birch Gold. I love that dude. And he was reminding us about the jobs report that just came out. 170,000 new jobs. That's amazing. In the private sector, primarily, 90% of the jobs, private sector, I think. And that's a complete flip-flop from what we had during the Biden administration. I think this economy is going to be okay, folks, as we invest in America. But I want you to invest in yourself, and I want you to take care of your retirement with Birch Gold. Text CHAD, I spell it Chad, to 989898, and Birch Gold will send you a free, no-obligation information kit on how you can build a tax-sheltered IRA backed by physical gold. Birch Gold is the A+ with the Better Business Bureau leader when helping you with your future retirement plans. Got an old IRA or 401k or something of that nature, you can roll it over for free. They'll walk you through that process. Get them on the phone, talk to them, and let them consult you on your future. I love those guys over at Birch. They're good people, and I'm proud that they partner with us. Birch Gold, check them out, and text CHAD, Chad, to 9898. 98. Oh, man. Hey, guys, blow up the chat with that American flag. I see you guys. You guys are so good, man. You're just so dadgum good. I like that little blurb you pumped up there, producer Dave. With the Birch Gold. Bloop, there it was. I don't know what's going on anymore. I love how faithful you guys are, though. Just to see you guys every day, just faithful to be here, be a part of the show in the afternoon when most of us should be taking it's Cinco de Mayo. I should be taking a siesta. Anyway, but I'm not. Here we are. I want to talk to you guys about this deal. Today, we're going to do a little deep dive. And David said everything froze. I hear you, brother. I don't know what's going on with Evie Mux with this whole thing. That's the production system that we use on this deal, and we've been having some glitches. Y'all call them technical difficulties on Dear America, but it's a lot of it with EV mucks. We're a little bit bigger sometimes than, especially on the Dear America program, bigger than what they're capable of. But enough about that. I want to go into a little deep dive here. Some people call me a conspiracy theorist, but this was a conspiracy theory. It's funny, the difference between conspiracies and the truth is about 2 weeks, or sometimes about 6 weeks. But the conspiracy that I want to get into is not a conspiracy. It's not a theory anymore. This one's actually got receipts, declassified files. I mean, it's got Senate hearings and probably more smoke than a barbecue pit at a 4th of July cookout here in Texas. I'm talking about Operation Mockingbird, of course. Operation Mockingbird. Say it out loud. It rolls off the tongue. Sounds good. Operation Mockingbird. That was the Central Intelligence Agency's little side hustle where they basically bought themselves a seat in America's newsroom. A so-called free press. Turns out it was, freer for the feds than it was for you and me, the people. And the wild part is it never really stopped. So let's talk about that a little bit. And first, kind of go back and rewind the tape, go back into history a little bit. And I want to tell you about the early days of the Cold War. Late 1940s, tensions are starting to escalate between Russia and the West. And, the late 1940s, early 1950s, post-World War II, America's freaking out about communists hiding under every bed. So the CIA basically is brand new, freshly minted, 1947, says, hey, you know what? Maybe we ought to shape the narrative a little bit, win some hearts and minds. And they came up with this idea, Operation Mockingbird, which was a covert program that was run by the CIA to infiltrate and influence the media. Now, I'm not talking about running ads here. We're not talking about like when they said they accused Trump or Russia of running ads on Facebook. We're not talking about putting something in the classifieds. They were literally putting journalists, quote unquote, on the payroll and using major newspapers as fronts and planting stories that fit their agenda. Now, here's a fun fact. Here's the first one I'm going to make. At its peak, there were over 400 journalists that were either directly employed or informally working with the CIA. 400. So that included people from the New York Times, the Washington Post, CBS, Time Magazine, and a whole bunch more. So I want you to think of it like the original version of an influencer marketing, okay? Except instead of peddling protein shakes or T-shirts like we do, they're peddling some real propaganda and paid to do it. Now, I want you to guess who helped run the show on this deal. It was a fellow by the name of Frank Wisner. He headed the CIA's Office of Policy Coordination. Now, doesn't that sound sophisticated? That was the branch that was responsible for psychological warfare. And so he once called Mockingbird his mighty Wurlitzer, which was a propaganda organ that he could play like a piano to make the world dance. And so here's another fun fact. Carl Bernstein, Watergate, that guy. He published a piece in 1977 in Rolling Stone magazine that was titled The CIA and the Media. Now, in it, he revealed just how deep the thing went. Now, I'm talking Pulitzer Prize-winning reporters feeding stories to Langley, editing their work based on what the CIA was feeding back to them. So you got agency feedback telling journalists what to write. Now, that's not journalism, folks. That's stenography for the deep state. And you say, I don't believe that was happening. Trust me, it was happening. And I'm going to make the point that it's basically still happening. But before I do that, I want to talk to you about it, my friends over at AlliedOilfield.com. AlliedOilfield.com, they are industry leaders in the oil field as well as the trucking business. So if you are in that industry, go check them out, AlliedOilfield.com. You want to see what helps America drill, baby, drill. They've got the equipment. Their innovators been doing this thing for over 20 years out there in Levelland, Texas. Good partners of the show, great friends, and they are creative, dude. They have done industry standard equipment builds over their over 20-year existence, and people know them, people go to them, people trust them, and they can help design and build a concept for you as well. They got some cool stuff over there, man. And we ain't talking Tonka trucks over here. We're not talking about Hot Wheels, baby. This is real stuff. AlliedOilfield.com. Go over there and check them out. You're curious. Go look at them. AlliedOilfield.com. Now, the 1970s, we're fast forwarding, all right? People are kind of waking up. The Vietnam conflict, that's a disaster. Nixon, he's sweating bullets. And all of a sudden, Senator Frank Church, he launches these hearings, the Church Committee, of course. And its whole purpose was to expose the abuses by the CIA, the FBI, and the NSA. And one of the bombshells was Operation Mockingbird. But here's the twist: they said they shut it down. They said they shut it down. I mean, when the NSA or the CIA or the FBI tells you they shut something down, do they ever really shut it down? Now, the CIA promised, crossed their heart, hope to die, whole deal, that they won't do this anymore. No more journalist paychecks, no more planting stories, except they forgot to mention the part where they basically rebranded it. So let me give you a spicy example. You ever heard of a dude by the name of allegedly? Have you ever heard of a dude by the name of Anderson Cooper? Yeah. Graduated from Yale, interned at the CIA, then became the face of CNN. Now, I'm not saying the man's still clocking in at Langley, but let's just say the overlap between Ivy League media elites and intelligence operations is tighter than a new pair of cowboy boots. And what about old Jeff Bezos, while we're pulling up some current examples? Remember Jeff Bezos? He bought the Washington Post. A guy with massive CIA cloud contracts now owns one of the biggest opinion-shaping machines in the country. So, got to ask yourself, is that journalism or is it controlled messaging? I don't think anybody in this audience truly questions what I'm saying here. Modern Mockingbird is slicker than ever, folks, because it ain't about paying journalists $500 a month anymore. It's about controlling the entire platforms. It's Twitter, it's Facebook, it's YouTube deciding what you can and can't say about a laptop in Delaware or a virus in Wuhan. Bum, bum, bum. Now, I know there's some folks out there that are going to say, well, it's not a conspiracy if it's public knowledge. Well, that's exactly right. It's not a theory anymore. It's history at this point. The only difference now is it's happening in high def and with better branding. So let me throw one more log on this fire. You remember the Twitter files when Elon bought Twitter and exposed how the FBI and DHS were flagging posts for takedown? That's Mockingbird 2.0. Government agents working behind the scenes to curate the narrative. And this time, they didn't even need a typewriter, just a Slack channel and a contact at Meta. Now, here's the question I want you to chew on today, and we're going to discuss. If the government has this much power to shape what we hear, read, and believe, how much of your worldview is actually yours? How much of your worldview did you come to the conclusion of? Because I've said this forever, that we've lost not just common sense, but critical thinking. People that have listened to me for years, they get sick of the phrase critical thinking. We don't do it. We don't know how to do it. People don't know what the word even means. And so our worldview has basically been handed to us. Our minds, our brains have been shaped. Just like Lenin in Russia with Pravda, which of course meant truth. It wasn't anything but the truth. It was propaganda. Pravda was propaganda for the Communist Party. It was just like when the Bolsheviks took over in 1917, they took the children out of the home, put them in special schools to teach them how to be good communists. How much of the worldview is actually ours? And what do we do about it? Because here's a question. Well, I'll say this. Here's what you got to do. I don't want to phrase it as a question. I'm just going to tell you. You got to question everything, first of all. If a headline feels too perfect, it probably is. You ever pay attention to the way these headlines are written? Like, what was the dude, just this weekend, they had the guy who they were talking about the story. They arrested the guy who found the person on the subway, on the train, dies of natural causes. He robs his dead body and then rapes the guy for 30 minutes. Rapes the dead body for 30 minutes. And the headlines about this thing, were insane. This guy was an illegal who did the raping, who did the robbing. The headlines about this whole deal were so blasé and bland. I mean, they didn't talk about how, here's a guy who is an illegal. They got man accused of raping corpse. He's not just a man. He's an illegal alien. Sicko. I mean, man charged with attempted rape of person. It was a dead person. It wasn't attempted rape. It was necrophilia on a train. Brooklyn man accused of attempted rape of a corpse. You see what I'm saying? They make these headlines sound so bland and blasé because they don't want to reveal too much of this whole thing. Man accused of raping. So anytime you see that or these extreme hyperbolic words out there that are just go to these real far extremes on stuff, astonishingly. Now, nobody talks like that. There's a good chance if it feels too perfect or is written too clean, it probably is. Now, here's another thing. You got to support independent media, folks who don't rely on the big pharma ads or the alphabet agencies to pay the bill. And another thing, you got to get loud. Don't let the gatekeepers control the town square. Use your voice, use your platforms, use your kitchen table, use your cell phones, use your conversations to spread the truth. I want to get further into this thing, and we will. But before we do, I want to talk to you about Backyard Butchers. Backyardbutchers.com/Chad. They're locking in the price. You got another week or so to lock that price in, but you need to do it today. If you want to get your beef delivered to you, you need to go to backyardbutchers.com/Chad. Lock in your price for the rest of the year. And they'll send you your subscription box with your beef. You pick which level you want to be at. You can even get a whole or half steer delivered each month over the course of a year. But I mean, you got the different meals, the different, if you live alone like me, you can eat meat for a long time, and one of those boxes is going to feed you. So, if you like to do it, you can also look at some of their beef and chicken. I mean, their pork and chicken, stuff like that. But it's American beef, 100%. You know, it's coming from Texas ranchers, Texas family ranches, and it is Texas steers, grass-fed and grain-finished, fat babies. And you are going to want to know that they don't have the crap pumped into them like the steroids or the vaccines or any of the garbage trash or whatever. So, backyardbutchers.com/Chad. I want to hear you in the chat. I want to see what you guys think. I want to hear what you guys think about this Operation Mockingbird. Jump in there. Give me some of your theories. Do you think that is still happening on a grand scale? I do. And here to discuss it, our subject matter expert, a guy that we missed all last week, Party Foul Steve, is in the house. Unmute your microphone. Come on there, Steve. What do you got? Ding dong. Oh, there he is right there.
I'm right here. I think so, if I'm unmuted.
Look at you back in the land of the living, brother.
I am in the back in the land of the living.
Yes, he survived.
I feel great. It's been. I did have a rough 4 or 5 days.
Yeah,
it was flu-like symptoms. Came on fast. And
did you ever figure out what it was?
No, me and Tony both had it. She had hers. She was running about 24 hours ahead of me. So she got sick and started feeling just kind of icky. Throat, upper respiratory kind of stuff. And I thought, well, I guess I'm good. And then the next day I woke up and I was. Boom. It hit me. I think it hit me harder, but she says I'm a big baby. So,
well, you are.
Yeah, a little bit. So
you are.
She takes good care of me, though. She made me soup. She made everything to do everything right. But she got over hers really fast. Like by day 4, she was done with it. And I was by 5 and 6, it was just still kind of hanging in there. But everybody I talked to that's had it, it lasted 2 weeks. If not a little longer. So
yeah,
but she never stopped taking. I'm gonna make a plug on the peptides and the Make Wellness because she never stopped taking hers.
Yeah,
and I literally quit taking everything except NyQuil for the first 2 days of that stuff.
Yeah,
and but as soon as I realized she was getting better already, I doubled up on the Fit peptide.
Yeah,
and then of course the Hydrate. I just nailed as much as I could in. And then almost within 24 hours of starting to do that, I started feeling better.
Well, there's cancer, and then there's men with the sniffles. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's basically on par with getting your arm cut off. I started to come down with something the other day. I traveled Saturday, went up there and did that show in East Texas without you. Thank you very much. I traveled 8 hours without you.
Thank you for letting me off the hook before I had to say, hey, I don't think I can. I mean, I could have went, I would have forged through and I would have done it. But you actually suggested I stay home. So thank you for
you just didn't want to go. You just didn't want to go, and I get it. But I'm glad you're well. We got a lot to get to this weekend. I wanted you well for this weekend. We're going to Raleigh, Marion, Virginia, and Gatlinburg, Tennessee. So we're getting a lot of wind chill.
Man, it's been a long time since I've been North Carolina.
Yeah.
So in Virginia
and some of my favorite spots in America right there. So we're going to be there. You heard what I was saying about Operation Mockingbird.
Yeah.
A little bit. What are your thoughts on that deal?
I didn't know what the name of the operation. I knew that kind of stuff went on. I've read stuff over the years about that kind of stuff, but I don't know that I knew about this specific name.
Yeah.
But when I started reading into it and looking into it, I was like, oh yeah, this goes on. And our perception of the world is shaped through everything that we look at through our television.
Well,
or listen to on your radio.
here's the thing that's concerning about that whole deal, because if you remember, the back in, I'd say 1980, I think it was, sort of at the advent of the 24-hour news cycle. CNN came along, Ted Turner came out with this deal, and I'm like, man, they're going to run out of stories. They're going to run out of news. They're going to have to start making stories up or making things news that aren't news. And so they have to fill the airwaves, right? And so all the news conglomerates were owned by like 56 different companies owned all the news. Now only like 5 own the news. So that means it's all compartmentalized and everybody's got the same voice.
Yeah, it's kind of, even the name Mockingbird kind of tends to give it that. They're just, news media kind of is just repeating like one main source starts it and the other ones are repeating it. And if they're all owned by the same, thing, they're putting out one message and one message only.
And that's one of the things, like when I went to the White House and they gave us the stupid Epstein binder that didn't have anything in there. I mean, by the time we looked at it, and I was like, and I was on Newsmax that day multiple times saying there's nothing in it that I didn't already know. And so I was saying it, but everybody's crucifying us because the mainstream media posted the pictures of us with the binders coming out the door.
That was a media stunt.
In the media, yeah, it was all the way across, both on the White House part, Pam Bondi's part, as well as the mainstream media, because they hate the idea of independent journalists being out there. They hate the idea of anybody having a story they don't have.
Yeah, it's something I've noticed about the news conferences in the White House. The very first question goes to somebody that's not in mainstream media.
Yeah, they're filling that seat. They're filling that seat and doing that. So my thing there is you've got like I think of, when I think of independent journalists, I think of somebody like Brianna Morello, my friend. Our friend Brianna. And so I love her to death, and she's awesome. But she does a heck of a job of getting to a story, like doing the research, getting down in it. She talks to people, she verifies, she trusts nothing. She asks the right questions, she gets the right people's perspective. I've got to go on some network again this evening and talk about this fact that they don't have the Epstein files, or they say they don't have a definite timeline for releasing it. They're wanting to talk to me about that. And I'm like, yeah, let's talk about it, which is, it's not a good look for the White House to do that. But the mainstream media is not talking about it.
No, they're not going to, because there's literally nothing there until they go, okay, here's the list of people we're going to file charges against. And then there'll be something. But before they do that, or if they never do that, there's nothing left.
Yeah. But you look at all this stuff. Like now we're starting to see where Joe Biden, like now you got guys like Jake Tapper, who's writing stories about Joe Biden.
Wrote a book.
Yeah, being mentally in decline. You bastards knew that all along. Y'all knew that all along, and you didn't want to tell us. You don't want to talk about it. You lied about it in order to prop this puppet up, and now they got a bunch of stuff coming out about Joe Biden. They actually said that what was it? I just read this morning, that they actually considered making Joe Biden take a competency test before he dropped out. Like a mental competency test before he dropped out of the race for 2024. They were going to use that to basically get him out.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. If he took that, they would know that would get him out. They would.
Yeah. So fortunately, they got him to just go ahead and resign as it was. But they were basically going to strong arm the guy out of there. And if in worst case scenario, they were going to release any. So they knew it, is my point. They knew it, but the media never told us.
But they also knew that there's no way Kamala Harris could get elected.
They did know that.
I think they knew that 100%. I think the whole Democratic Party knew that, hey, we're just going to have to, let what happens happen, and then start attacking Trump right away as soon as we can.
Which is why the only thing they could do, they couldn't defeat Trump or anybody else. They couldn't. First of all, they couldn't run anybody but Kamala Harris, right? Because she's a black woman, or whatever color she is. I don't even know. But they had to run her, and they had to say, best we can do is run Beyonce and all the celebrities out there and try to make her as relevant as possible. And I mean, she was just in shambles. But the thing is, the media, controlled opposition media, was so bad that at this stage in the game, I think you got to look at the media as being almost like a branch of the government. I mean, it's literally, and I don't mean that like a legitimate branch, but like a deep state. People always say,
they're an arm of the government.
I mean, people are always saying, what is the deep state? Well, I think this is what we're talking about today. We're not talking about $500 in an envelope being slid across a table to a journalist to go out and tell him how to write his headline. That's not what we're doing. But what we are doing is you've got Meta, you got Google, you got Twitter or X, whatever, that are serving the same role today as the mainstream media did in the 1950s. You got fact checkers on social media. Those fact checkers, as far as I'm concerned, are nothing better than Mockingbird assets in this deal. And who fact checks the fact checkers? If you've ever tried to fact check a fact checker, it's impossible to do that. Say that 5 times real fast. Fact check the fact checkers. Fact check the fact checkers.
Yeah, and I see that thing you have up on the screen. The only one I don't see up there is Fox News.
Yeah, and I don't. Yeah, but I don't trust them either.
Exactly. I was going to say it's just the other. It's a little bit of the other side of it, but it's still. Oh, there we go. Much
there
better.
we go. That boy, David.
You have to put that in there, and that's not. I watch Fox News, but I also watch several other news channels just to kind of see where things are at and where the pulse is, and it's I listen to satellite radio too, so I hear some of the other points of views that are. Sometimes out there.
I listen to the Progressive Channel. I listen to Urban View. I listen to all that stuff if we're traveling. You've heard me do it. And I'm like, next thing you know, I'm wanting to smack somebody, and, reach through the thing and grab them. But again, whether it's the media, and you got to look at what's not the media anymore. Like a celebrity's opinion doesn't matter. They keep trotting these celebrities out there like their opinion is supposed to matter. They don't matter. And just like my opinion doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's my opinion. I said last night, I was feeling frisky. Sometimes I choose violence. I said on X last night, I said, basically, let me read exactly what I said because I was a little catty. I was a little catty on this thing. And, some people wanted to be smart asses and come back at me. But I stand by what I said. And if I could make the internet work, here, let me take it off of the Wi-Fi. Thank you, NordVPN, whatever. There we are. I said last night that every large, quote, political account on this app is an attention whore. And that's me included. That one right there. We're all attention whores. I mean, we all have an ego, right? We all are putting our opinion out there. Yeah, well, obviously, we're attention whores, or we wouldn't put anything out there. We just go into hiding. And again, I'm lumping myself in there. I said, but the only difference is you're either building an audience or building a mob. And there were a lot of people in here who commented and said, you need to build. Now, you can see only 319 reactions to that deal. Yeah. Not a lot. That wasn't a big post. Again, we're talking about that. And so look at David Medina, PDX, baby, at David Medina, producer David in there. This is facts. And so there were a lot of people saying, you just need to build them. Emery King said, I'm building a cult. Hilarious. What did I comment on that? Say, if only they had a leader. Yeah. I like Emery. But, there were a lot of people who were saying, self-awareness is self-aware. You need a self-awareness score of 0. Shut up, punk. And I was like, prove it. I mean, obviously I have self-awareness or I wouldn't be putting it out there. That's the whole point. And there were people out there, want to bring up the Epstein binder, or people want to say, you need to build a mob. Certain people want to let's build a mob. Aaron McIntyre with Blaze TV said something. And I was like, dude, are you accusing me? Are you asking me? Are you making a statement? Because he didn't put any punctuation on the end of it. And I was like, you better not be being a smart ass, because I'll come to the Blaze and whoop you right now. But because my thing is, I don't want to build them. Nobody should want to build a mob. That's what the media has done forever.
I'm amazed how many of your haters follow every word you say.
Well, they're just fans. Haters that show up nonstop every day. They're just fans, dude. They just don't want to admit it. They're the mosquitoes that nobody invited to the picnic, but yet they show up, bring nothing to the table, but just bitch about the seasoning. That's all it is. And you got to just slap the shit out of them every now and then. And so that's my opinion on that whole deal. I like, they got as much relevance as an expired coupon as far as I'm concerned. So, hit the road, Jack. But my thing there is the media has built mobs. The media has built mobs, and they didn't build an audience. Even these quote influencers, a lot of them are trying to build their following based off of pissing everybody off, and they'll devour each other, man. They'll go at each other. I mean, I'm so sick of this whole deal with, I don't like Candace Owens anymore. I don't like, Charlie Kirk. I don't like that. Who cares? They're people, man. They're people with a freaking opinion, and it's okay to put your opinion out there. And like I said in the opening monologue thing by talking about Operation Mockingbird, I think you should. Everybody, whether you got a big following or not, everybody should put their thoughts out there. You too, Steve.
Yeah, I do put my thoughts out there sometimes, but it goes back to the whole how's your worldview, our perception of the worldview. And if someone like yourself, someone, and I say like me that's traveled a little bit, we've seen outside of what is just funneled into your computer, whether it be your laptop or your television or anything like that, go and see things firsthand. And it's like as you're growing up as a kid, you think of the country of, let's just go with Africa, Ethiopia. You see a grass hut with some kids with some rice, and that's all you see. But there's some beautiful cities, even in Ethiopia, that you'll never see if you didn't go look.
Yeah. And, that's true. They're going to show you what they want you to see, and they're going to tell you what to think. They're going to brainwash you.
I grew up my whole life thinking that Africa was just covered with grass huts, and that was it. Till I went there, and I was like, "This is not." What.
So that's, this whole, David, you got something to watch on that deal?
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets
reading the same teleprompter. And again, we saw that with, what's the name of the company out there that owned all those local news markets? And they were basically sending out the script for the teleprompter.
So imagine them doing that on a scale where it's going into every classroom through books, through videos and stuff that are shown in every classroom in America.
Yeah,
that's propaganda.
It's propaganda, 100%. But the idea that the government, the CIA particularly, was funding these journalists to do it. You can't convince me right now that this is not happening in the same way. I mean,
and it's for one purpose and one purpose only, and that's control.
Yeah. So you have to ask yourself. We have to ask ourselves, what's more dangerous? Is it foreign propaganda, or is it domestic narrative manipulation?
I think narrative manipulation is worse than because we put foreign propaganda out there in every single country around us.
Sure.
Around the world. We influence elections by putting out propaganda and by who we think would be the best person in charge or in leaders in countries and stuff like that.
Yeah. And that's my thing, because it's a cancer that's on the inside. I mean, if I see a news story come out of Russia, I'm already going to take that with a hesitancy, right? I'm already going to look at that critically and be like, I don't know if I'm going to believe this or not. Because it's going to come from their bent, their slant, their angle, right?
Yes.
But if it's being said inside our country, you try to believe that everybody in this country loves the country.
No, they don't.
But they don't. They don't. And they love power is what they love. Power, money, greed, whatever you want to call it. So, I mean, if Operation Mockingbird, you take a deal like that, if it never really ended, how much do we believe today? We've just bought into this idea. Like, you know what? That's the truth. How much of that is based on planted narratives? That's why I'm doing so much these days, folks, for those of you listening to the show. That's why I'm doing so much on these historical things that nobody's talking about anymore. I'm looking up these trivial pieces of history that they're not teaching people in school and reminding them. I'm encouraging everybody, and I think a lot of you did. I put the episode out on Saturday about the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965. That is why we're dealing with what we're dealing with the immigration issues, open borders, and the illegals in this country today, because the left couldn't win on ideas, and so they had to change the audience, and that's why they basically opened the borders. They went from an origins-based immigration plan, where we wanted people that were similar in our values, like Europeans, to a family-based, who you were connected to, type of immigration thing based on skills and trades. And it wasn't that at all. So that's the deal. That's the deal. You need to go back and watch that stuff, because there's little known pieces of history that people don't understand or know about.
100
They're not
years,
teaching. And this is the kind of deal that I'm talking about. We don't know what's based on narratives at this point.
In 100 years or in 50 years, there's going to be a Chinese kid right here in America going back and looking at old YouTube videos and going, maybe that guy was onto something.
Yeah.
All young guy, y'all.
I mean, you look at what's going on in our country, and you got to figure out and to the audience, how do you personally vet the information that you're consuming? Like, what sources do you trust? And I'd love to see somebody here in the chat tell me, what source do you trust? Like, I have certain people that I follow on X, and I go to them as a source, and I see they're all independents. I don't read Fox News stories. I could care less what Fox News is saying. I don't really like, you turn Fox on. I don't really watch Fox.
I just turn it on in the mornings while I'm drinking my coffee, that kind of thing like that. I'm
you
not
know-
an all day, every day kind of watcher. My wife will argue and say yes, but a lot of times the TV's just on. I'm not even paying attention to it.
And you know how my studio is set up with the TVs. There for a while, I had Fox on, I had Newsmax on, I had different news channels that were on. I just leave them off now. I just leave them off because I don't want to see any of the stuff. So because I don't even know if it's possible to have an unbiased news source today, if everything is being pushed through an agenda. I see some of you say you trust Dear America in chat. Well, I can tell you this. We may not know everything, but we are trying to tell you the truth. That's for sure, at least our convictions. And I do like the Bongino rule. The Bongino rule, he says that he would like to be right rather than first. That's one of his rules. And wait, 72 hours to see what comes out on something rather than a reaction. Charlie Kirk, Joe Rogan. Those are interesting places, but nobody goes to the mainstream media.
Well, there's there's no way that the mainstream media likes what Trump does as far as his openness to everyone and how everything comes right out of his mouth. You may not like everything he says, but it comes right out of his mouth.
He's going to say
it. It's hard for them to run that through a filter and put it out to the people.
Isn't it funny, though, when you watch Trump? You bring up a good point. Isn't it funny when you watch Trump getting interviewed, how quick he is on his feet to bring stuff back on people when Joe Biden was going,
Yeah.
Like, Joe Biden never had a response. Come on, man. Or he'd get mad at him, or tell him, give him that grin like he was pissed or something, or point the finger at him. And, Trump puts them in their place. And, I mean, he's getting right there at 80 years old himself. He's pretty sharp.
It was one of he went through the first administration where, they attacked him. He popped back at him some, but now it's like, no, I'm coming at you.
Yeah, he's
you were
smacking
awful to me before, so screw you.
Yeah, he's smacking them. But I like Town Hall. Like, I like going to townhall.com. I subscribe to townhall.com, but I like their bottom of the hour, top of the hour little 4-minute news briefs that they do if you're listening to like Triumph, which is like if you're listening to Beck or Breitbart, Glenn Beck or Laura, not Laura, Megan Kelly or those guys. I like the Town Hall news updates because they just tell you the news. So you gotta get to a point where, and everybody out there probably has some major news story that you believed, and it later just turned out to be false or manipulated. There might be some stuff in there. I would love to hear what you guys say. What woke you up on this deal? What is it? Because I've said for years, the question is, I want to know, what made you distrust the media? What made you distrust the media? Gosh, I'm trying to think off the top of my head and go back to how many things.
I don't know that there's like one single thing. I think stuff just starts piling up. And of course, when you're younger, you don't really, I say when you're younger, I know a lot of young kids that know more about politics these days than I ever knew that I still know them, my whole life. But when I was younger, I didn't really care, didn't pay attention.
Yeah.
Until I was, I guess probably about the time I was, halfway done raising my kids is when I started paying attention a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you start digging into what people are saying and then what they're doing and what are those results.
And I see the comment there about COVID was a big one. I think COVID exposed a lot of things. I'm at a point where, as far as I'm concerned, the whole COVID, as Hot Seat would say, COVID, I think it was all a lie. I think every bit of it was a lie. I think they ought to make the vaccine illegal. I don't know. They'll probably kick me off of YouTube for saying that, but
100% lie. That was throwing everything we can to get rid of Trump.
Yeah.
Anything they could do to,
well, that's one of the reasons.
That didn't work.
That's one of the reasons why I have backed away from doing headlines on this show, on this thing. I mean, we're already doing enough of it on Dear America, right? But on this show, I want to deal with faith and history. Like right now, that's my passion.
Okay, so we can't talk about that Trump announced the 2027 draft for the NFL is going to be held in Washington, D.C.?
Did he make that announcement?
Yeah, he made that announcement.
I didn't see that.
So,
But see, I'm not watching the news anymore.
I accidentally saw it.
I mean, if it doesn't pop up on X, and you know what? I'm honestly kind of avoiding X too. I put something on there if I have a thought or something needs to be promoted or pushed, but I'm staying away from that because it's a dumpster fire, dude. You can't keep putting that toxic crap in your brain and in your heart and it not influence and affect you. It brings people down, man.
No, because all of that, it does affect your mentality, because I know it did mine. That's why I stay off X. I'm on there every now and then just to go through. I go through usually when something's trending. That's a quick place to go look and hit a few of them. And
I can't tell you how in the last 6 months how close, honest to God, close I came to just deleting my account. Just deleting the account. It's just toxic. Dude.
I don't see the Chad Prather I know being able to do that.
Delete my account.
Yeah, I just can't see. It's not.
It got close. I'll be the honest.
It's not. I don't think it's in you to cut something out of your life completely.
No, it's not. I'm not. I already said I'm an attention whore, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
I don't like it when the laughter fades. But no, I want everybody, though, to put some thought into this thing and just really think about the way you vet information you consume. It's one of the reasons why I try to keep access with people. I try to communicate with people. I have people who say, well, you're not responding to my, your agents aren't responding to my DMs. It's like, I don't have any agents checking my DMs. Now, there are people who can see my DMs. So if you're sending me boobs or something like that, I'm not the only one seeing them.
Facts.
Don't send me any of those, by the way. That pretty much has gone away. Thank God. I'm not getting people's naked pictures anymore.
Yeah, you just have to put a stop to it.
Yeah. But so I will just say that I want people to personally vet the information they consume. I'm trying to communicate with people. I really am. And you figure out what you trust, because information does matter. It really does matter. I think reading an actual newspaper is still an effective way to get your news. People don't do that anymore. Because again, we're at a point where there's nothing that's unbiased. It's a domestic narrative manipulation. It is still, go back to what I said earlier about Jeff Bezos bought the Washington Post, and Washington, right? Washington Post. He buys the newspaper. The dude has all the accounts. I mean, all the intelligence accounts, and
So okay, I'm gonna back up just a little bit, because
Eric the Camel does say he will accept those pics that you want to send to me, but only from women. Careful what you ask for,
yeah,
Eric.
be careful what you ask for. You might not want to see it. But I want to go back on something you talked about, because okay, the history books are going to say one thing about COVID. And as we progress, we're going to we're finding out more and more that is incorrect history.
Right.
So are you, in fact, for rewriting the history books, or you just amend the history books to say, later on, we found out this was not how things happened?
Yeah. I think you're going to have a lot of that stuff. I think you're going to have a lot of things, a history. That's one of the things right now why that is a big passion of mine, is talking about history. People got upset with me because I did that bedtime history story about the Hindenburg the other day. And I was like, maybe I'll start doing that. People got upset because it wasn't a pilly talk.
I thought it was a pillow talk, so I didn't listen.
I know. People think they thought it immediately. And I was like, I guess people do come to expect the little gay pilly talk. I'm your gunkle. I'm your little gunkle. What's a little pilly talk?
I mean, we're going to find ourselves as conservatives wanting to rewrite history, is what I'm afraid.
And with the ongoing encroachment of the AI phenomena, people are getting their information. I can appreciate the AI tools that are out there, but it's very interesting to me that it's going to drive us further away from critical thinking and our ability to do the diagnostic questions, to do the hypothesis, and then kind of measure the thing out with a method of
It not only
veracity.
drives us away from critical thinking, it just drives us away from thinking.
Thinking.
'Cause you don't have to
And
think about it at all. It
you don't
puts
have
it
to
out
put
there. It
anything else.
summarizes.
Yeah.
The AI, I've looked up several things and let the AI just do its thing and go, "Oh, okay."
It's crazy, dude. And
Yeah.
it'll tell you anything, and you're just automatically going to believe it.
Yep.
Whether it's Chat GPT or Chat AI, or everything is AI now.
And it's so easy for
Grok.
something to be manipulated with one or two words, not a lot, just a little bit,
Yeah.
to sway an opinion.
Yeah. I put a deal in there. I told you about me the other day where I said, I want to know what Chad Prather's opinion has been over the years about January 6th. And man, it wrote a book, quotes and everything from the podcast and all kind of stuff. I mean, just insane. I was pretty proud actually of what it said. I thought I was pretty solid. But what I'm doing, guys, and I'll give you guys this little tip. What I'm doing is I'm going in, when I'm doing my research, I'm looking for the left out details, the details that didn't make the book. I want to know, because again, human history is about, in information, you're telling the story of human beings. You can't factor out the human condition when you're telling these stories. So when you talk about a guy raping a corpse on a train, you can't gloss over that. I mean, that's as raw as it gets. Like the details of something like that, you can't gloss that over in the news media and say, in New York, a guy in New York. He wasn't just a guy in New York. He's a guy who should have never been here. And obviously he was mentally ill. I talked about it on Dear America this morning, how, our mentally ill are running the streets now, and we're protecting them.
Well,
I mean, and James Carville comes out the other day and says, well, he's concerned about the image of the Democrat Party right now. Oh yeah, you mean the party that runs down to El Salvador to try to rescue a Maryland dad, is what the media calls him, a Maryland dad who slapped his wife around and was a human trafficker, MS-13 gang member. Like that's the image. Yeah, that does wonders for your image.
2 words is all it took, Maryland dad, to change the entire narrative
whole
of that
deal.
story. Whole thing.
The whole deal.
2 words.
And then they put him in his little plaid Walmart shirt, made him look like everybody else. Wearing a Kansas City Chiefs hat.
Yeah.
He's just everybody else's guy that's probably, the roofer from down the street.
Yeah.
He's just running a plumbing business. And so they're going to do all that stuff. And I see you kung fu them. They're emptying the insane asylums. They're not emptying them. They're empty. So back when we had
Somebody says syphilis has gone to Carville's head.
Yeah, dude.
That and alcohol.
Hey, James Carville, they'll go tell about the Democratic Party. He just slapped
drunk
that
right
dude.
now.
He's hammered. But you're talking about emptying the insane asylums. I said it this morning on Dear America. We had 556,000 people back when we had like 140 million people in the country, and back when the population was 140 million, and then we had 556,000 people in insane asylums, and now we've got 330 million people, and only 56,000 people are in what would be considered a mental institution. That
It should probably be about 3.5, 4 million in.
I mean, it really should be. I mean,
statistically.
because these people are, they're insane, but we don't do that. We don't deal with mental health or anything else. We don't deal with any of that stuff. And not only that, you got these people who are breeding out there, and then those are the people who are telling the stories. They got just as much platform as you got. I said it in this book right here. I said it right here in the introduction of this book. I said, the age of social media is so dangerous because social media gives everybody a voice, whether they deserve it or not, and it gives you a platform that you may not be responsible enough to handle, and it gives people a sense of security. A sense of celebrity and a sense of authority. Because you've never heard anybody on the internet talking and saying, I don't really know. Everybody
Except for me,
knows.
I will say I don't know.
Everybody's an expert. Everybody's got authority, and everybody thinks they're a damn celebrity because of the stuff they post on social media. And this is the kind of deal. I predicted all this years ago when I wrote this book. That this was, and I've been saying it for 25 years about, going into a postmodern age where people aren't interested in facts, they're interested in feelings. And so, here we are. How do you vet this stuff? Because again, they've already seen. COVID was a psyop. COVID was a psyop. They wanted to see how far they could push us, control us with fear, and how much they could pull the wool over our eyes. And you know what? We fell in line with it, hook, line, and sinker. Hook, line, and sinker. That's why you've heard me talk about on stage when they started to lose control with COVID, they tried to roll out the monkeypox, and they messed up with monkeypox because they said that the protocol was you couldn't rub your genitals on another human being, and that's where we drew the line. We were like, no, we're going to stick our genitals everywhere. You can't tell us what to do with our genitals because we're so sex obsessed in our society. We're going to put our genitals everywhere. And they were like, oh, yeah, okay, well, that's not going to work. Well, monkeypox, we got a real monkeypox then. It wasn't deadly enough.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is COVID worked so well, but monkeypox wasn't big enough to do it again. It's going to have to be way bigger. I mean, extreme. So whatever it is, it's coming. I don't know what it'll be. I don't know what form it'll come in, but it's going to be way bigger than any COVID.
It was a pregame practice. It was a pregame practice. It was a pregame practice. That's all it was. It was a practice run for what they are capable of doing, what they were capable of doing. And they were successful in it. And I remember you saying on the Chad Prather show when we were on the Blaze years ago, you sat there at Party Foul Pub right there at the Blaze Studios, and you said, I'll believe it when they're burning bodies in the street.
Yeah.
That's what you said.
Bring out your dead.
Because back then I said, hey, listen, they're doing something, and it's serious. Now, it wasn't that I was putting that much importance on the actual virus as I was how they were going to manipulate this thing. Because I was talking about this thing's going to come, and they were showing videos of people dropping dead in the streets, supposedly in China, and then welding people in their apartments, which I guess they're still entombed there or some kind of weird stuff. But I'm sitting there going, you know, Party Foul Steve's right. When they start burning bodies in the street, then you'll know you got an actual pandemic. I mean, like I've seen the movie where the monkey bites the dude.
Yeah, and not having enough room in the morgues was because they weren't letting anybody. They weren't letting anybody bury no funerals. Anybody. It's like,
yeah. But I mean, I'm unvaccinated, baby.
And we're not going to get any. I mean, they throw out some numbers here and there, this and that, but man, how much money went out to the hospitals from the federal government?
Absolutely. Outbreak. Thank you, Justin.
We're never going to get accurate numbers on that kind of stuff.
Nope.
It's just money's not real, y'all. Money's not real.
It's not real. The only thing, the cash in your pocket, if you even have cash, the cash in your pocket is nothing but a note that represents the debt. You're just carrying around a note of debt. That's all it is. That's all it is. And they're lying. Dude, I'm telling you, sometimes I want to go hide in the woods somewhere, but I don't trust the woods.
I'm working on it.
I'm
working on it every day.
I'm downsizing my life in so many different ways. Like I'm getting a smaller house. I'm downsizing so many things, dude. Trying to simplify. I'm just trying to simplify because again, dude, you got to be ready, man. It's actually a big biblical principle. When Jesus told his disciples, he said, "You better be ready to go." Like travel light, basically, you know. And if you got two tunics, get rid of one of them. I mean, like he was literally saying, you better be ready to travel light. And I think that's the day and age that we need to be very wise in these moments because you don't know what's coming around the bend. Just think about it like this. The media, like coronavirus. Coronavirus has been printed on a Lysol can forever.
Yeah.
The phrase coronavirus, but suddenly the media made it like a common household name. You look at the language that comes into our day-to-day lives that we've never used before, like collusion. We never used the word collusion. We never talked about collusion until, again, they brought it up talking about Trump and Russia. Think about all those words that are out there that you never even used, never thought about. And then here we are.
We were kids. It was acid rain. We were afraid to go outside when it was raining because of acid rain, at least for a week.
Yeah.
You know?
Acid rain. I used to get the Weekly Reader, man, and they showed the hood of people's cars. It had the bubbles on it because the acid rain had been hitting the damn thing.
It's like, man, what were they?
Yeah. So here we are.
Yes,
here we are.
The sky's falling.
We got to jump out here. You doing anything, young guys? Y'all doing anything for Cinco? Y'all eating tacos or anything?
Yeah, we are. Fajitas are going on. I'm a culture. I will appropriate any culture I want to because I live in America and I can do that.
You do. Freedom. And you love some food too. And you are always sending me pictures of what you're eating.
Yeah.
Or cooking.
Yeah. We're always cooking and eating something around here.
All right. Well, I want everybody to be safe out there. You got some rookies out there to be drinking tequila for the first time.
I'm not doing any drinking, so I've been like on the wagon for a while, so I'm just gonna keep it going.
Might as well.
That's right.
Anyway, I'd love for everybody to tune in, and we might have a couple of super chats here. I don't know, but I'd love for everybody to keep tuning in this week. We're going to dig even deeper on some of these conspiracies that aren't conspiracies anymore. But go back and watch. If you missed it, go back and watch what I posted Saturday about the Nationality Act. MXY859, my cousin made a comment on Kentucky Derby and how the names of the horses were political this year, then proceeded. He didn't want to hear from the racist redneck Republican. How did he become so hate-filled? It's a brainwashing thing.
Was one of them political on the Kentucky Derby? Maybe some of the prelim races were or something.
I don't know. I didn't really pay attention to it. Lisa Victoria, I don't seem like a tequila drinker. Oh, if only you knew. Tequila was always my drink of choice.
I'm looking at a bottle of it right now.
It's got my name on it, doesn't it?
It's got your name on it.
Yeah, it literally has my logo on there. Yeah. That's funny. People they know. People that know me know about that tequila. Yeah. Anyway, you guys.
I think there's more super chats, wasn't there?
There might be. There's a couple of $1 ones. You can throw those up there too. Yeah. David's got to get a haircut. We got to let him go.
Well, we'll take $1 ones.
Chad, hubby, and I are coming to your Toccoa, Georgia show. We have front row tickets. Do we have to pay to do the meet and greet separately? We want to be sure to meet. You'll meet me. Don't you worry about it. You'll meet me. You ain't got to worry about that. We used to get all that stuff, but we don't. I wish they questioned Fauci as much as they questioning Musk. Isn't that the truth? I mean, and that's one of the things, dude. You go on like AI, some of these Chat GPT things, and you'll ask them questions, and they'll point blank say, "I can't answer that."
Yeah, Fauci better go hide. He better not come out of hiding.
I talk to the AI deal like I'm talking to a person. I'm like, you can't or you won't. Lisa, whenever people would ask my grandma for money or stuff, she'd ask why, and she'd say, "Why do I need it? I can't take it with me to heaven." That's a fair point. Fair point.
You want to have money till you leave, though.
Yeah.
Let's say.
Oh, look at Trevor Taylor, $49.99 TT. He came over here and pressure washed my house while I was out of town. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. And he could have done my driveway and my sidewalk while he was in town. And I wouldn't have let him inside because we were all sick. But
I signed Trevor up. I signed Trevor up on Make Wellness and sent him like a $500 box of stuff too, man. Thank you, buddy. Y'all have some drinks, dinner on me. Love y'all. Love you, buddy.
He don't $49.99. Trevor, you know us better than that.
I know, especially if Party Foul's gonna be around.
I won't even cover my.
We'll do a drive-through. Yeah. Steve loves drive-throughs. Yeah. What else we got? I think that may be it.
I don't know. I'll
see you later. All right, guys, we got to get out of here. On behalf of our producer, David Medina. At David Medina PDX. Follow him over on Instagram. Great content. Got some great stuff over there. And you can follow Party Foul Steve. I hope to see you Friday night in Virginia. MXY859, $10. Come on. Want to see you there. Go ahead and warn you guys, Jesse Payton. He's out there a little bit. If you're easily offended, you don't ever come around our shows.
Even I have to step out sometimes when I hear
I have to get on Jesse. I'm like, well, maybe there's another way to say that.
Yeah.
Man, yeah.
We're trying to save his soul, so that y'all have to bear with us. It takes time.
It takes a long time to win that dude to Christ.
Working on it.
Oh, Jesse.
We're all a work in progress.
We all are, man. But Party Foul, I'm glad to see you up and around, buddy. We're leaving bright and early Thursday morning, so I won't be on the Dear America show. We'll pre-tape for it this week, but we're leaving bright and early, heading to Raleigh. Jesse texted me yesterday, and he said, "Are y'all flying?" And I said, "Yeah, we're flying. We fly everywhere these days." And he goes, "I'm going to fly." He goes, "Because it's like an 18-hour drive." And I was like, he drives everywhere.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Never mind, it's $1,000 per person round trip. We're not doing it." And I was like, "Bro, whatever. I ain't driving that far. Not anymore." Anyway, we got a lot of fun shows coming up, though.
I used to drive that drive from right here in Texas to, I was in Jacksonville, North Carolina, Marine Corps base there, Camp Lejeune.
Camp Lejeune,
That was.
Did you drink the water?
Yeah, I drank the water. 17 and a half hour drive. I'd do it like I'd stop 4 times for gas.
Yeah.
And back then I smoked cigarettes, and I would just smoke one right after another. I'd drive the whole way nonstop by myself.
Man, that makes me want a cigar now.
Yeah.
Why'd you bring that up?
Come on, bring it.
I can't. I got to go do that. I got to do that news. I don't even know what news network I'm on.
I guess I keep Willie for another day.
Yeah, let him stay over there. I miss that dog, though. Thank y'all for keeping him. I wasn't going to come get him while y'all had the flu, though.
Yeah, that's what I told Tony. I said, ain't no way. He doesn't need to come over here while,
Chad don't do sick. I ain't got time for it.
Yeah.
See you Thursday in Raleigh. It's Mother's Day weekend, so these are smaller audiences. I'm sure it'll be smaller audiences this weekend, but I'd love if you guys came out there. Yeah, we'll be there no matter what. I don't care.
I'm going to hug all the mothers' necks that come to the show because
I don't care.
I miss my mom.
Yeah, man, why you got to make it sad?
That's not. That's a happy.
All right.
That's a happy. That's a happy.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't care if 10 people show up. We'll act like it's 10,000. We don't give a rat. We can have a good time. All right. I got nothing else. Go to watchchad.com. Go sign up and get some peptides, man. Game changer. Game changer. And if you're on my team, which, like, anybody that's on the deal, look at Steve. Put that
I don't
thing
know
together.
if I ever got to show this.
That thing is beautiful,
probably
dude.
did.
You put it together with popsicle sticks, didn't you?
Boom. Look at that.
Look at that. Where'd you get those sticks?
Amazon.
That's hilarious, dude.
Hot glue. I put it right back here. I don't know that you can even see it on the close shot, but if it's on the full shot, you can probably see it.
Yeah. But join our team. Watchchad.com. Check it out. Go right at the top. Go sign up. Get some peptides, dude. I feel great. Oh, we got a Zoom call tomorrow at 11 Texas time Central. 11. Me and Kendall Bailey and Abby. We're all we're gonna talk to our team. So if you're on my team, I sent out an email today to everybody. It's got the Zoom link in there. So I love you guys. I'm gonna get out of here. David's got to go. Party Foul Steve, I'll holler at you here in a little bit. Right. For the rest of you guys, I'll see you tomorrow morning on the Dear America show. Stay safe out there. God bless you. And yes, Donna, I heard what you said. Praying for your kid and all of them, man. Praying for all of y'all. I love you. God bless you. We'll see you in the morning.